Welcome back, everybody, to some high school esports. It is the Queensland League of Legends Championship Series. My name is Formal. To my side, although granted across the city and then some, it is Warp Driver. We are still casting from the comfort from home. Don't worry, that will be changed as soon as we are allowed to, but we stay safe and we stay socially distanced. Now, our second game, and this is going to be the big one. Some might say it is MacGregor taking on St. Paul's, two undefeated teams, two of the only three remaining undefeated teams about to do battle. As we can take a look at the two lineups right here, KingKisuto, Ibby, Vasol, CY, and Eben on that blue side for MacGregor. Mittim, MESSI and Snow, HuntingU, NiaML, and Rubik on the side of St. Paul's. And Warp, coming into this, do you have a favorite? Do you have expectations? Or are we just going to sit back and watch the bloodbath happen in front of us?
You know, looking at both of these teams, I think that they sort of go really well together in terms of, how these fights are going to go. St. Paul's has a really good, hard engage. They like to fight. MacGregor likes to play a little safer. Being myself, I'm going to sort of side with the side of St. Paul's here. I like the idea of just a hard, go in, go hard, win these fights. So I'm going to be siding with St. Paul's. I think they've got a little bit of the edge in terms of the champions that they like to pick.
See, meanwhile, I kind of head that other way. MacGregor, to me, last week looked so impressive during their game and that victory that they were able to grab for themselves. I kind of feel like they might be that premier team of the tournament. And my eyes are kind of on them. That safe, controlled gameplay, but pulling the trigger when they know they can win fights. That's what I'm going to be looking for, and that's who I'm going to be looking towards. Now, some of the key players we're going to be watching out for in this one. MESSI and Snow may have had a big game last week, but when I look towards that St. Paul side, it's actually NiaML, that AD carry who came up huge late in the game, got themselves that quadra taken away at the very end. Well, I'm expecting Nia to try and find that penta today. Meanwhile, back on the MacGregor side, I do believe it's all about CYQAQ. That's right. I think it's going to be a battle of the bot laners in this one, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think, as we saw last game, bot laners have the potential to absolutely take over a game if they're allowed to. And both of these ADCs seem to be incredibly competent players. So it's definitely going to be a focus on that bot side. And as an extension of that, Ibby, Mittim need to play incredibly well. And I think early jungle pathing is going to be incredibly important to get that bot lane scaled, get that bot lane going as early as possible.
Yeah, I absolutely feel we're going to be seeing a lot of bot lane pressure, and we're going to see a lot of bot lane jungle shenanigans. It's going to be a good showdown there. I am curious, though, which mid laner is going to be able to help out, which side is going to be able to get those early dragons, and which team might abandon that bot lane and actually look to mix things up and prioritize the top. Obviously, both teams can't have bot side prio, even though they each may want it. This also could be the game we even see that level 1 fight to try and get them going their way. I mean, anything can happen. It's a fight for first place in this league, a potential grand final preview, and only in week 4. This is definitely going to be that match to watch, and I'm so keen. Real quick, Warp, we've only got 30 seconds left. I'm not asking for a prediction in terms of who's going to win, but what champions in particular do you think we are going to see in this match?
Well, I think there's going to be a couple that are pretty comfort picks for both of these teams. In the top lane, we do see a bit of a combination of, Mittim likes those bit more hard engagey champions, such as the Renekton, the Cho get the Mal fight. Whereas Katsuo likes a little bit slightly different, like more Maud, Volibear, and Gnar seem to be more in his wheelhouse. Key picks in general, just to save the long-winded explanation. I think mid lane for St. Paul's, the assassin on their team is highly likely. Talon is, I think, a key pick in this game. And for ADC, I think for MacGregor, the Tristana and Samira could be really interesting because CYQAQ does seem to like those late-game scaling AD carries. So I think that's going to be a win con for MacGregor. So I'll be interested to see which way these teams pick, because if they can pick these comfort, I think they'll be much better.
I absolutely agree. It is going to be about comfort in this one, but honestly, when you get to this stage of an event with these two teams playing as they are, here is where I also wouldn't mind seeing them push Comfort a little bit and try to adapt for more of a competitive meta. You're at that stage right now where if you're going to be looking to sort of win this tournament and possibly even beyond, this is where you can show that adaptability, show that you can play many different styles, and if put under the pump, can break and learn on the fly. So I wouldn't be too upset if we see teams sort of push convention. Granted, I don't necessarily expect it. Sometimes, you just want to go what works for you, especially when the stakes are as high as they are in this one, a chance to remain undefeated, be the last soul standing team or the last two, depending on how our third undefeated team goes. Either way, when we kick this bad boy off, so much left up for grabs now. I do believe we might be able to kick this one off very, very shortly. Now, players still sort of organizing themselves, so we will be going soon. Do apologize for the slight delay. You know what I want to see in this match? I want to see a proper split push actually be pulled off, because I feel like if a team can execute a proper split push, that tells me that they know how to work as a team and their communication is absolutely on point.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And I think one of the things that will definitely lead to that, and if we see it in the early games, is a beautiful sign, is if that top laner starts to freeze. I think if we see that freeze going, we know that they're going to be going for that lane domination and then just trying to snowball that down the lane. Good old Nasus style, just smack the tower while the enemy's on the other side of the map. So I would love to see that as well. I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, we'll see if either of these teams are going to be able to pull it off. Granted, that's not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting two teams to be prioritizing their bot lane in this affair. It's what's worked for them in the past. I think it's what's going to work for them again as well. Expect the team fight comps. Expect some scraps perhaps over the Dragons. And expect us to be starting right about now. Players are typing that R. We are moving into picks and bans. MacGregor again in blue. St. Paul's are in red. What do we start off? What do we take away? Is it meta? Is it comfort? Or is it something no one expects? Do we see the Aurelion Soul Band just to make me upset? And wouldn't surprise me. It's happened before. KingKisuto, the ball is in your court.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit of both here. I think we should see some comfort bans, but also some meta bans, because you really don't want to let some of these people get onto those meta picks, as they're meta for a reason. They'll just dominate the game if they're allowed to get ahead. We see the Warwick and Katarina banned away so far, which again, that Warwick, bit of a comfort pick. And for Vasol, that Katarina seems to be quite a potent pick for them in that mid lane. So pretty clear why that's being banned away.
Yeah, we saw what that Katarina could do last week, and absolutely took the game over for MacGregor. And that was kind of the really scary thing for me when we looked at the MacGregor team last time, was they picked a greedy assassin comp. Like, they had two assassins, I think, no tanks. It was win lane, win game. We need to snowball if we're going to find victory, and they were able to do just that. Compare that to St. Paul's, which did play that more passive, actually set themselves up for that longer siege, looked to win the team fights before, and was able to find the victory in that way. It's going to be an interesting one. Also, I will apologize to KingKisuto. That is how his name is pronounced. I will be getting it right in the future. Thank you very much, God Pickled, for pointing that out. One of the benefits of not being in the studio, when I mess up, you all can tell me, and I'll be able to rectify on the fly.
Yeah, it is one of the many benefits, but can never complain about casting in person. But we do see the picks and bans finalized here, and it looks like St. Paul's did have a similar idea to me in terms of the champions that are incredibly strong for the MacGregor side. We do see that Katarina, that Tristana, and that Viego, again, another pretty big pick at the moment, as the Aatrox gets picked up for St. Paul's. And an interesting pick into the Volibear, but we do see the Ekko come in as well. So it looks like we're going to be getting pretty much exactly what we were thinking, just a bit polarizing teams so far.
All right, you're going to have to excuse me for this one. I've just got to make sure I get this right. I need to ingrain it in my head, okay? Otherwise we'll be getting it wrong 2 minutes in. But KingKisuto on the Volibear, because everyone plays Volibear in this tournament. KingKisuto on Volibear. We're not messing it up for the rest. If you do, feel free to flame me in that chat. Moving along, though, Rek'Sai getting locked in for CYQAQ. Kaisa as well for Vasol. And we're looking pretty divey right now on the MacGregor side.
Yeah, we're definitely looking diver, but we're also looking relatively meta with that Kaisa Volibear pick. Volibear has become much more potent in the recent patches. Kai'Sa obviously up there, one of the top 2 ADCs at the moment. So really, really interesting to see how St. Paul's is going to be able to counteract that pick. We might see the Jinx come out for NiaML. That might be a good pick for them here, but I'm really curious to see the picks and bans to finish off the draft here, because right now MacGregor's team is looking pretty nice.
MacGregor does look good, but I have to say so too does St. Paul's. I mean, they've got a very, very solid top laner who should be able to hold their own against that Volibear. You've got a jungle mid synergy with the Ekko Death Ball on the Orianna, which actually provides a lot of kill pressure quite early in the lane. Dare I say, a level 3 gank in mid lane could be devastating depending on who MacGregor opts to put in that position. St. Paul definitely playing, it looks like, for more of an early game than what we saw last week, and that may work in their favor. Granted, they still got to pick for their bot lane right now, and against the Kai'Sa, it's always going to be hard. I'm worried that they might try to match toe for toe with that aggression down bot, and that could be an area where MacGregor could look to expose them and take advantages in this game.
Yeah, I think these are definitely, that's definitely what they're going to have to do. Just an interesting note, a Vayne could be really good here. For the side of St. Paul, and we are going to see that Vayne probably picked up there. It's a comfort pick for NiaML and goes incredibly well into the team comp that we're seeing from MacGregor. So really nice pick up there for NiaML, and they're going to pair that with a probably like a Morgana Leona. I think currently would be a pretty good pick for them. That engage is also really nice for them, getting that long range confirmation. They kind of lacking that at the moment outside of a, Hail Mary Ekko W. And we do see the Ryze getting picked up for MacGregor. So that is actually a comfort pick for Vasol. So I'm really interested to see how he's going to perform against that Orianna in the mid lane.
Yeah, Leona also as well is going to be taking for the MacGregor side. So very aggressive bot lane with the Kai'Sa Leona, a lot of kill potential. And this is the type of lane where you actually can get a Leona outside to roam around. Zilean with the hover. I doubt we're going to see that. We do see the Zilean locked in. Rubik bringing it back from 2020. Granted, we've seen him play this champion last year to mixed success. I'm not sure about this one, Warp. I'm a little worried that this bot lane from MacGregor has potential to absolutely harass and trash and thrash and tear and wear out and just destroy St. Paul. We've already seen one bot lane victory. It's up to Rubik on the Zilean, I suppose, to prove me wrong. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you here. The problem with the Zilean, especially into the Leona, it's pretty much a free Zenith Blade target. If you get that Zenith Blade onto the Zilean, you get that Q down, Kais is able to get the Praise Seeker damage. That's a dead Zilean. Zilean has incredibly low base health, and pre-level 6, it is going to be incredibly scary for Rubik down in that bot lane. Finishing this draft, I really liked how St. Paul's was going, but there's a little bit of anti-synergy with their team that I think might mess them up. So I'm actually thinking that MacGregor they came out on top by a decent margin out of this draft.
Yeah, they did, and we saw what MacGregor could do with what I considered a losing draft last week. Coming into this one, I'd say their draft definitely has a bit of an advantage. We're seeing Vasol on a more traditional mid laner than necessarily that Katarina, which did get banned away. If MacGregor wants to prove to me that they are that premier team in this tournament, like I kind of feel they are right now, this should be their game. However, we can't deny the strengths of St. Paul's team composition either. The team fight that St. Paul might be able to bring, if they're able to execute correctly, if they can play around the zoning of the Ekko, of the Orianna, then perhaps they can find advantages in this one as well. And Mittem is going to have to step up big. Somehow he's going to have to get out of the lane against KingKisuto and find his way to sort of get a bit more involved. Otherwise, it could be struggle street for them. Either way, this is sort of our premier game. I think this matchup has that potential to be a very intriguing one. I just don't necessarily know which team is going to be able to execute kind of these, dare I say, harder to execute team compositions when it comes down to the pushing and the shoving and the fighting of the play.
Now, one thing I think that we should take into consideration with that point is if you look at the MacGregor team comp, they're actually much more suited for these rotations and sort of back and forth plays. They've got the Ryze ultimate. They've got the, they've got the teleport. They've got Kai'Sa ultimate, so they can go for these much longer distance engages and much safer at that with the Volibear ultimate shutting down towers. So I think we're going to see a very rotate-heavy game from the side of MacGregor. And I agree with you 100%. Midem is going to have to play incredibly well and try to counteract those rotates, especially from the Volibear. Because if you allow that Volibear to get those roams around the map, it could be incredibly damaging for the win conditions of St. Paul.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how well St. Paul's can do in keeping KingKisuto in that top lane. Otherwise, could be some dangerous situations. I don't know. This game feels very much more on a knife's edge. I think this draft is a lot more even than what we saw in our first game of the afternoon, and it's fitting considering these two teams and where they sit right now. I like the Vayne more and more as I think about it. I know Vayne can typically be a tank buster and that front line destroyer, and then you look over at MacGregor, you see a Volibear, you see a Rek'Sai, you see a Leona. However, these are also three champions that are very good at sticking on a target once they get there. Nia's positioning is going to have to be nigh unmatched in these fights, yet we've already seen him pull it off before. The question is, can they even get to that stage? Does MacGregor not snowball them through in the early game? Every decision we're going to be questioning. I'm almost treating this match like our potential grand final because these arguably are the two best teams in this 20-team division. Our top division, I should say. It's not the Opens, it's the Premier Division. These are the two best teams. These teams we could be seeing in a series in the future as we are looking to be loading into the match right now. I do believe I'm being told perhaps to throw it to a break as we can see the schedule just over there. We will be throwing it to that quick break, and when we come back, we will be on the Rift for our main event. Welcome back, everybody, to Summoner's Rift for our main event. MacGregor, 3-0 on the blue side. St. Paul's, 3-0 on the red side. Only one team can remain undefeated by the time this match comes to its conclusion. We expect it to be a mix of a chess match as well as a boxing fight. Take a look, actually. That's a real sport, by the way. They do it in Russia. They do one round of boxing and then play like 5 or 10 minutes of chess. It's hilarious, Warp. Either way, that's what we want to see on the field right now. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
You know, looking at this, looking at the team comp, how they've gone, you know, we said it in the early game, in the pre-draft. I'm really leaning more towards the team comp of MacGregor here. I really think that they've got a better draft overall. That being said, I do think that St. Paul has the potential to really put this game, you know, under their shoulder and just run with it. If they can get those win cons, you know, if the Vayne, well, pretty much if anyone on their side gets strong, they can pick that ball up and just run with it.
I do want to see what they can do with an advantage. I just don't know where St. Paul's is going to find that unless it's through MESSI and Snow. I think this jungle is going to be so critical. You can see starting on that top side, expect to see a 4-camp clear and then a gank either mid or bot. That is what I would be hoping to see out of MESSI and Snow. And with the Dark Harvest, you do expect he's going to be trying to apply a lot of pressure into these lanes.
Yeah, we should see a lot of ganks from MESSI and Snow here. In this early game, especially when these champions don't have as much, we'll say, easy disengage tools. So I think we're going to see a lot more aggressive play from MESSI and Snow. Libby, I think, will just try and power farm and take advantage where they can.
I do believe that the power farm start probably will be okay for Ibby, but Rek'Sai's aren't known for being passive level 3 either. I just find it interesting that each jungler is kind of going opposite paths right now. I would have liked Ibby to try and match MESSI and Snow almost, because a counter gank Rek'Sai could have been a massive turn of events. Instead, though, their decision is to actually look to invade and look to track MESSI and Snow that way. A very risky play from the bot lane out of MacGregor, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I really like the proactive play from them there, trying to put as much pressure as they can on MESSI and Snow, so that they allow Ibby to just get that extra little bit of, jungle pressure. As you see the clear, MESSI and Snow's just now hopping on their Gromp. Meanwhile, Ibby is just about to clear it, so that scuttle pressure is going to be immense for Ibby.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a one-camp lead right now for Ibby and the side of MacGregor, and now would be the time to actually use it, because KingKisuto and Mittem are actually getting into a bit of a scrap, and Ibby is going to be arriving on the scene, does look to cut off that exit of Mittem, going to flash get that knock-up, and that's going to be first blood as well. Really well played and set up by MacGregor.
Yeah, really nice execution there, and we see Ibby taking that advantage, like we said, with that jungle timing and turning that into a kill. I usually wouldn't say this, but I really like the flash there from Ibby. As you could see, Mittem was trying to get the flash over the wall, so
this is greedy.
Yeah, this is greedy.
So greedy from KingKisuto. I'm not sure why they thought they could take that trade. Kind of threw away the flash, and the reason was because Ibby was roaming their way back up, and with enough damage down, the camp might be on Mittem. In a bit of trouble right here. Will look to avoid the knockup, but is unsuccessful in doing so. But does Ibby actually have enough damage? Mittem starting to fight back, and now Ibby is going to be forced to back away. Teleport coming through for KingKisuto, but could be a bit too far back. Flash not available for the Volibear yet. He's still beelining straight for Mittem. That's a big wave, and not one that the Volibear wants to give up. And now they need to be careful, because MESSI and Snow is roaming up as well. Won't be able to have that Ibby support. This actually looks to be going in favor of St. Paul's, as MESSI and Snow will connect on the parallel convergence. Gets the stun, holds KingKisuto in place. Mittem may have stayed a bit too long, though, and is now trying to run away for his life. Health bars are low, flashes are coming down, but KingKisuto gets the kill before falling himself back over to MESSI and Snow. A 1-for-1, but definitely an advantage going to MacGregor.
Yeah, definitely an advantage. They're really good from KingKisuto there, managing to get that kill onto Mittem, turning that trade into, well, turning that 1-for-0 into a 1-for-1. So really nice. They're a bit of a misplay from Mittem, but we do see that turning out ahead. The main problem here is look at that wave crashing into that top tower and all that EXP that KingKisuto is missing. So that's a little bit sad for them, but overall an advantage nonetheless.
Yeah, it's not the most ideal situation for KingKisuto. However, they still have that advantage, level advantage and experience advantage before going into it. So it's not as if KingKisuto is going to fall behind by letting that wave crash, but definitely won't be able to extend their lead as much as one would expect off of a kill. In fact, Mittem actually has the experience advantage, already level 5 kind of as that result, but KingKisuto will be matching that level 5, has the item advantage as well with that Bramble Vest already completed, and Mittem cannot do much against the KingKisuto. One might think Kisuto throwing that weight around, looking to bully Mittem out of lane. Top lane, a lot more brawly than we were expecting, and Mittem actually might be winning this trade. Why is KingKisuto still pushing forward? He goes under the tower, and that could be a very lethal mistake. Ward in the bush to keep the chase on. Mittem just needs to hit one more ability, misses with that power strike. In fact, Happy Feet from Kisuto nearly keeps him alive, but the kill gets secured as a teleport down below following a condemn into the wall from Ibby. That said, the time bombs will not connect, and HuntingU is going to have to try to race to get to this jungler. Eben actually facing the blow, but the shockwave gets CY. A level 6 Orianna may have turned this fight on its head, but they're unable to run anyone down.
Yeah, really unfortunate that they weren't able to get any kills in that bot lane from a nice TP from HuntingU, but there's a massive wave crashing that they might be able to put some pressure on here as we see a potential repeat game from Ibby.
Oh, this could be very dangerous, though, because those health bars are low, and beautifully played by Rubik to stun through the Zenith Blade. It does result in an early 1-for-1, but now Nia is left alone against Ibby and CY. Ibby gets the knock-up, and CY should be able to secure the kill when that Void Seeker comes off cooldown. Not going to be required. Ibby takes it away first. A 4-3 lead for MacGregor.
Yeah, really nice pickups there. Ibby getting that counter engage again. That being said, kudos to Rubik actually landing that stun through the Zenith Blade. They managed to get that pickup onto Eben, so kill goes back over to NiaML. So overall kills are even in the bot lane, but the overall EXP and gold that they've been able to get on the side of MacGregor is just immense.
As we do continue along, look, I typically don't read chat when casting, but sometimes things just get written that I need to shout out. Damon King, credit for this one, showing why Aatrox doesn't like this Volibear. Well, he's just unbearable in lane, and that's why Mitnum is going to try to fight again and again. Bring on the bear puns, everybody. I think we need more of them in this broadcast.
You know, I am a sucker for a good pun, so I am A-okay with this, as we do see, the trade just in top lane. Top lane has been such a brawl fest so far. You know, it's been refreshing, because usually, you see quite slow ones, but...
I can't bear to watch this gank. It is unbearable how often KingKisuto keeps getting caught out. Meanwhile, back in front of the dragon, actually, Eben in a bit of a rough spot as well. It's the three-man pile on. They're not sticking around for the Infernal Drake, though, and that could be a misstep for St. Paul's.
Yeah, I think this is a really unique opportunity for them to actually get that Herald and the Infernal Drake at the same time because of that pick. They would have known that Ibby was resetting, so that's such a nice time, especially with the damage that the Vayne is able to put out onto the Dragon. I think it was a missed opportunity, but, I don't think it's the end of the world for them, but it's definitely something they could have used to accentuate a lead here, because that bot lane is going really, really well for St. Paul.
Oh, not again, KingKisuto. You don't need to fight every single time, especially with MESSI and Snow in the area as well. KingKisuto is going to be lucky if he can even barely escape from this one. The engage is on. It is going to force out the teleport, but the follow-up damage is there. Vasol arrives to the scene just as KingKisuto hits his ultimate, and now comes that re-engagement. Vasol needs to be a little cautious as well. Ryze doesn't want to get caught and chunked down just like that. Ibby on the flank from the river gets knocked up immediately, but still will commit and forcing that chrono break that almost takes out Vasol. Instead, MESSI and Snow actually is one auto away, but no! He does go 1-for-1 in the river. A shutdown on the tail end of it all. That's a lot of gold going in Ibby's favor as Mitnum continues to look to the fight. Not going to find it this time. This game getting very, very scrappy.
Yeah, this game is just turning into an absolute death match as we see roams from everywhere. But we do see 3 kills on both junglers. As we see another fight in here on top lane. Ibby trying to go in.
Yeah, Ibby has just been all over this map right now, and wherever his team needs him the most, it's like this Rek'Sai will just arrive almost Superman-esque to the scene, although Mitnum might have the damage on him. That's going to be a nice little solo queue and a huge misplay from MacGregor.
Yeah, I think overall MacGregor, although they're playing... Well, they've been playing well with the jungler, but overall the lane play hasn't been incredible for them. Which is interesting because they have such a good draft, and this is one of the few ways that they were able to potentially throw a draft lead away, is giving these people like the Vayne, like the Aatrox, like the Ekko, these kills so early. We see a 3-1 Ekko, a 2-2 Aatrox, and a 2-1 Vayne, all characters you do not want to get ahead if you are MacGregor, and currently they are at that position.
That they are, and this could be a little bit of a worrying sign. Granted, most of that gold is on MESSI and Snow, and this is reminiscent to how St. Paul's won last week. MESSI and Snow had a very dominant early game, and then as they got to the late game, Nia got unleashed, and that's when we saw, the quadra kills happen, and the near pentakill had HuntingU, not taking it away. I still haven't forgiven Hunting for that. As we return back to the Dragon, Ibby is actually looking to disrupt it, and how much damage does Ibby want to do? Well, the answer is not enough. MESSI and Snow with the chrono break actually takes the Rek'Sai down. Killer instinct, though, from CY. Turns this to 2 more kills in favor of MacGregor, but did they push too far? Zenith Blade gets to the back line, but it's not going to be enough to say CY initially. The Solar Flare, however, was Dragon continuing to whittle away. Eben kind of giving up his life to keep the Kaisa on the field, yet it's not going to turn the fortune of the Dragon play. That's going to go to St. Paul's.
I would have liked to have seen that last kill get handed over to NiaML there. CY is in a very dangerous spot there, but I would have really liked to see that kill gone over to Nia, because I think when you look at the team comp, that Vayne getting those kills would be so much more beneficial for St. Paul's than Mitnum, but a beautiful fight overall, really nice scrap from both sides, but we do see the kill advantage and the dragon advantage going over to the side of St. Paul's.
It's crazy to think we're only 12 minutes into this game. A vast contrast from what we saw in our match prior. A lot more even, a lot more fight heavy, as HuntingU has decided to actually roam to that top lane now. A little bit of a lane swap, and I think this is because of Mitim's lead right now. They want to get this Aatrox a bit more involved, and KingKisuto could be in a bit of trouble as well, looking to race to the safety of their tower, but perhaps we did see HuntingU push too far. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Mitim meeting Vasol, but this is what I was worried about. The Shockwave will keep him alive for now, as MESSI and Snow gets the parallel conversion. Stun. That's going to be a kill secured. Meanwhile, Ibby actually completes the tower dive onto HuntingU and will get away scot-free. Rift Herald gets dropped in mid lane. The response up top should be to push the tower, but it looks like Ibby will instead recall. And overall, I'd give this advantage over to St. Paul's, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. They trade the kill on HuntingU for the free tower mid, and if they play this correctly, they could let the Herald die here, and then they let the Herald die, and that's gold gone for MacGregor. So they actually get the tower, and they don't get the gold trade back for the Herald. That is a really nice play for MacGregor, for St. Paul, and it's an advantage that they desperately want to hold on to.
And if we want to look at sort of that gold comparison right now, the big one is obviously between Mitim and KingKisuto, because we're looking at a near 2K advantage as we approach that 13.5-minute mark, and that is massive. That's how come we're starting to see Mitim roam around a bit more on this map, look to be getting more involved, and this is going to be that early snowball that MacGregor cannot afford to have happen, because even if the early snowball doesn't really get them through, you still got Nia in the bot lane, who has just been sort of whittling away, keeping pace with CY, and if you look at that late game scaling, it's going to favor St. Paul's and this Vayne. We are seeing a MacGregor in a bit of strife. They need to be proactive just like this, and this could be the play that they need. Nia is the target of Ibby, however, the engage falls back onto Rubik. That's where they secure the kill. Up top as well, though, will be the response. Mitim and HuntingU going after KingKisuto once more, who will be able to flash the safety. This game, it just feels on a knife's edge time and time again, and I'm not even sure we're done in the top lane because it almost looks like MESSI wants to get involved.
Yeah, it looks like MESSI's going for a counter jungle, and we see pings going up to that top side. We do see them wanting to try and push them all there, but we do see HuntingU backing. Oh, never mind. So we probably will see another fight in that top lane. Meanwhile, bot lane is just getting hard shoved in. MacGregor do get that kill on the tower in bot lane. But they're hard committing to getting this bot pressure for dragons that they really need to look around the map a little more.
Yeah, I'm actually been a little bit disappointed when it comes to the Dragon priority. Meanwhile, what an aggressive play from Mitten, trying to force a 2v1 in the MacGregor jungle, and with backup arriving from MESSI and Snow, it is Ibby who tries to run away, will get burnt down by the red buff of Mitten, and now Vasol actually a little surrounded. You have Eben in the Dragon Pit looking to get involved. Camera takes us back up top as KingKisuto will be nailed by that shockwave. Is going to try to run away, but those Orianna autos, they do a deceptive amount of damage, and that last ball will secure the kill, as down below, the fight actually did get turned back into MacGregor's favor as they force MESSI and Snow out of the jungle and reclaim the middle lane.
Yeah, Ryze does pick up that kill onto Mitim there at the end, but if you look at that, overall, it's a big advantage for the side of St. Paul's there, as Orianna able to get that free kill and just shove the wave and get some free tower damage. And right now, although MacGregor was able to get that bot lane tower, overall, St. Paul's is in a really nice position, especially when you look at some of the items coming up for their team.
Yeah, this is looking super good for St. Paul's right now. 3 of their legendary items completed. Granted, you can say the same about the other side. However, I do believe it's going to have that larger impact. In particular, I keep looking at Mitim's items at the moment. The Gorgeringer already done. Has that Executioner's Calling as well, pardon me, to really just wail on that front line. And you can see that St. Paul's, they're itemizing and correctly against what is a beefy front line. They are recognizing the tools that they need. It might not be, the highest output of damage against carries, but it's what you need to sort of beat the team composition that MacGregor has put out. What you don't need is getting caught out in situations like this. Mitim dead before he has a chance to even fight. Teleport's going to come through. That is 5 members strong for MacGregor right as Dragon begins to spawn in.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate death for Mitim there. Just needed to get that Umbral dash over the wall a little bit earlier. And might have been okay, but now they have given up that Dragon priority to the side of MacGregor, so unfortunately that will go over. So misplay does lead to loss of Dragon control, but I think even if we see a team fight, I think this should be a-okay for St. Paul.
The Cloud winds quicken once more. Fast jungles, and I do believe both of these teams would actually really benefit from that Cloud Soul. Both the movement speed and the cooldown reduction on the ultimates, very strong on either side. Shelly has been started upon, and this Rift Herald will go to the MacGregor side, kind of showing how the momentum of this game is starting to shift back in favor of MacGregor. That said, a team fight in the river is not necessarily what this blue side wants, especially with Shockwave available on HuntingU. They will be forced to recall after the objective is secured.
Yeah, we do see pings going up to this top side. It looked like they were trying to get a fight onto an engage onto Midem here. We might just see it again. Midem getting caught out.
It's bait though. They're fishing right now for polar bears. I suppose that's Arctic fishing. You don't really need to cut a hole in the ice, though, when you're on Summoner's Rift. Shockwave does get two, as Midem follows it up, but they don't have the damage to secure the kills, and the tower will take Midem back out, yet MESSI and Snow on the flank does try and find an escaping KingKisuto, and they do go 1-for-1. HuntingU protected by those hourglasses, but they're not going to be needed, as MESSI and Snow isn't done deep in enemy territory, trying to find a way to get to Ibby. Casts a retreat back to the tower, but instead drops the Chrono Break, and it's not enough damage to kill Vasol. Fight in the jungle continues between Nia as well as Eben, yet Vasol from over the wall does so much damage, does result in a 1-for-1 trade, back and forth fight. This is the scrap we were looking for, and MacGregor, they're climbing back in this one, Warp. They're starting to get advantages in these skirmishes, and they might not be done. CY actually drops the Void Seeker to stop the recall of HuntingU. Do they chase after the kill? Shelly has been played, but the chase is called off for now.
This is really interesting because it looked like in the early game, MacGregor just lost what they needed to be going for. You know, KingKisuto hard engaging onto Midem over and over. It's now sort of role reversed. Now it seems that St. Paul's they're not sure what they need to be doing to win this game, so they just keep fighting and fighting and fighting in disadvantageous positions. So I'm really worried for St. Paul's here as they just keep losing that lead further and further. You know, they had a lead in the early game. Now they're actually behind in gold. So this is a really scary spot for St. Paul's because they had a really big lead, and as you see here, another potential catch out.
Oh, KingKisuto, though, doesn't want to go too deep. The second the set of play doesn't connect, it will force MacGregor to back off. There's no reason to fight right now on the bot side of the map, to be honest. The Dragon's not spawning in for a good long while, yet each team is fronting. They're putting so much priority on the bot half, and I'm really confused. Our next major neutral objective is going to be that Baron, and at the moment, okay, MacGregor, they have the entire sort of river and jungle lit up. They're fine. I want to see St. Paul's play a bit stronger around these neutral objectives because instead, they're just looking for fights. They're looking to accelerate a game, and I'm not sure they necessarily have to. They still have the scaling, in my opinion, with Nia on this Vayne. I don't know. I'm worried that this over-eagerness to fight from St. Paul's is going to wind up costing them.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. They got that really nice early control that led to that Infernal Drake. And now we're just seeing an overcommitment to unnecessary fighting. You know, like a lot of these fights we've been seeing have been over nothing. There's no objective to be gained. They're just fighting for the sake of fighting. And I think that is actually better for MacGregor here, as they had, you know, in these fights, they have more to gain. Whereas St. Paul's only had things to lose, and now we look and they've lost it. So if they allow MacGregor just to keep the momentum in their, you know, swung in their direction, they're just going to run away with this game again. And I really think that St. Paul's needs to play, like you're saying, so much better around these objectives. Need the wards, need to get the pressure, and they need to start getting them. Because if they can get the soul on their side, it will be incredibly scary, as that Aatrox, you know, getting any of those, that Cloud Soul under their belt would be absolutely brutal.
I just worry that we're not even going to see a Dragon Soul in this one because either team is roughly 15 minutes away from getting to that point. Hard to believe we're already 21 minutes in this game, and for as bloody as it's been, only 3 towers taken down thus far. It's been a very interesting game, as Vasol might be getting called out right now. Is going to try to use the ultimate to escape, gets out alive, yet that is a key ability gone. No Realm Warp available, which means no ability to quickly roam. It might not matter, though, as St. Paul's really has no issue to fight over.
They do have the Dragon coming up in 13 seconds, so it is a nice pickup to get that ulti out. How important that's going to be, I'm not entirely sure. They do have the Ryze missing from this fight, should St. Paul's decide to go for the fight, but it looks like they're almost just deciding to give it up potentially, as we actually know we do see them engaging here.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to try and stop this dragon, I would think. Teleport's coming through as everyone wants to get involved in this one. St. Paul's a little bit slow to the punch, though. It might not work against them. HuntingU does rejoin the rest of the team, but that shockwave is vital, especially in those choke points. Dragon has been started up. You see the Void Seeker does connect onto Rubric. No killer instinct just yet. In fact, Ibby may have found HuntingU instead, who is forced to flash to safety, but the damage follow from CY Quack as enough to get the kill. That is the killer instinct gone, so no more repositioning, but it doesn't matter. Without that shockwave, without Orianna, there is no way for St. Paul's to fight. They have to give up this dragon. Great engage coming from the MacGregor side.
Yeah, beautiful engage from Ibby there, utilizing that Prowler's Claw so well, as we do see HuntingU get shut down, that fight lost. And interesting ulti there from Rubik. I think maybe a misclick with that ultimate, as the full health Aatrox was had some hourglasses going around him, but we do see the Baron now. This is what we were talking about. The pressure in the jungle is now turning into double objectives, which is the exact thing that they did not want to happen.
That said, MESSI and Snow is in the area. Do we see that Baron steal? Parallel Convergence is right onto Mr. Nasher himself, yet MESSI and Snow doesn't commit for the play, and that could lead to a missed opportunity. Baron is secured. MESSI and Snow a moment too late. Will Chrono break back out to safety, but the big purple worm has been secured by the MacGregor side. Our first major neutral objective going in favor of the blue team. What can they do with it?
Now, this is a really scary position for St. Paul's here, as MacGregor's team comp, like we've mentioned in the pregame, is so brutal with that, with the rotations and the ability to just get around the map. So I think first order of business, they need to crack this tier 1 mid, and we see them marching towards it. They've got the minion wave, they've got the Baron buff. They need to just crack this down.
That they do, and they're starting already in the mid lane. MESSI and Snow goes golden and times it perfectly with the parallel convergence. Unfortunately, won't be able to escape the Void Seeker of CY, and the result could be a mid tower falling. Could be the first of many bricks to crumble down as MacGregor continues to push straight down the throat of St. Paul's. They've still got 3 defenders in the area, but is that going to be enough? Those Baron empowered cannon minions can hit from so far away, and the range is a disadvantage for St. Paul's. Vayne is a very in-your-face champion, won't be able to get to that cannon until MacGregor pulls away, and as long as they stick around, the siege is going to be very devastating.
And there's that beautiful thing, the split push you were asking for, as we see that whole fight. KingKisuto holding the Orianna top lane.
Yeah, Mitten, though, is still going to be looking for that flank play. Won't be able to find it. Nia has actually rotated to the top side as well, just trying to stop the base from being broken open. Void Seeker does connect onto the Nia, who tumbles into it. MESSI and Snow tried to go for KingKisuto. They get the stun. They get the condemn to the wall as well. This Volibear first to flash. Nearly does go down, but that may have opened the door to Vasol. Mitten tried to find the Ryze, was unable to stick with him, and MacGregor will back away.
Yeah, right now I think MacGregor just needs to reset and just go for that dragon, as we do see the ulti. Yeah, Captain.
Yeah, almost got run down. The thing with this reset, though, is I despite getting a couple towers, I don't think it was as fortuitous as MacGregor necessarily would have been hoping for. This isn't the biggest back. This isn't the hugest reset, except on CY. CY actually was sitting on 1,500 gold. Obviously, just spent all of that to go ahead and finish up that Runon's Hurricane. This is a scary situation right now. A 3-item Kai'Sa ready to absolutely tear St. Paul's apart. If this red team cannot shut this Kai'Sa down, they're going to be in for a world of hurt.
100%. That Kai'Sa, we've seen in the fights already how potent that damage is, especially going out onto the relatively squishy carries of St. Paul's. Vayne, incredibly good against the tanks of MacGregor. Same can be said in reverse for Kai'Sa. This Kai'Sa is so strong against the relative squishies of St. Paul's. So I think if we see some hard engages and that Kai'Sa able to free hit, it's going to be incredibly scary with that item advantage.
And we'll see where they will go from here, as we do see a little bit of a setup, perhaps, for this red side. They're looking to prioritize the bot side of the map, which does make sense. MESSI and Snow being very aggressive with their positioning, especially considering they don't have any vision in the area. If he steps out of place, he could be immediately collapsed upon. Instead, though, the backup is in favor of St. Paul's. And they are going to force out MacGregor for now. Still a minute till that third Cloud Drake appears on the Rift, or what would be the second Cloud Drake, I suppose, third Drake, if MacGregor is able to secure it. They're not going to really contest for it just yet. In fact, both teams opting to play a little bit passive right now. No wards were dropped by St. Paul's. This
is one of those situations where I think KingKisuto needs to go top. if he can go top and start shoving out that lane, put the split push pressure back on to St. Paul's, they still have the TP available if the fight is needed, but just draw someone out for that dragon fight. But it does look like HuntingU is going there of his own accord.
Yeah, that's just it. I don't think they can afford to, unfortunately, because KingKisuto is behind. HuntingU can just sort of match the Volibear at this stage. This is more what they need. Picks on Nia. He does get found out, and that is the damage gone for St. Paul's. That should be another dragon secured. A great catch by Ibby, and the follow-up was there. These are the plays that win you games. These are the plays that could push you to be 4-0.
The Prowler's Claw has been absolutely just worth its money in gold, because this Prowler's Claw has allowed for so many just incredible engages for the side of MacGregor, and right now Ibby is playing out of their mind with this, with these engages. So kudos where kudos is needed, as we do see, like you said, CYQAQ 6-0 now on that Kai'Sa.
As we continue along in this game, MacGregor pulling further and further ahead the later we go. Just taking a look at some of the items again as well. The key one I have noticed has been that stopwatch on CY. This is big because if St. Paul's is going to win a fight, they need to get rid of Ibby and they need to get rid of CY, and they've been struggling to get rid of both. In fact, we might have an engage. KingKisuto, that was a bit ambitious from the bear. I'm not gonna lie. That one kind of caught me off guard, and I'm a little surprised St. Paul's didn't look to punish right away. In fact, Rubik almost gets caught out. The siege does continue. The wave is gone, but there's no follow-up wave for a good long while for MacGregor. They might be forced to back off.
Yeah, I think KingKisuto lost his bearings there a little bit because he just jumped in a little too early. Just really wasn't where they needed to be. So unfortunate for them, but proactive nonetheless.
As we do see Zenith Blade actually connect onto HuntingU. The follow-up Killer Instinct may have put CY out of position, however. Still isn't forced to go golden yet. In fact, he's going to flash into the Realm Warp, but it's canceled, and no more escape for the side of MacGregor as St. Paul's tries to fight their way back in. This is a double kill for Nia, yet Ibby is working in the mid lane and starting to break the base open. Back to the chase. Mitten is looking to find Vasol. Will be able to get to this Ryze, and the damage to turn it back. It will not be enough to secure the kill. In fact, with the Chrono Shift, no one will go down until the damage from CY absolutely pops MESSI and Snow, and all of a sudden Mitten and Rubik are thinking, maybe we don't want any of this Kai'Sa after all. Back into the base of St. Paul's. Ibby continuing to go to work, and Nia is just forced to stand and watch, cannot approach this Rek'Sai, who would just be able to either A, escape, or B, engage onto Nia. No winning answers here.
Yeah, really nice from St. Paul's there, putting a bit of proactive play back, trying to embarrass the side of MacGregor there, as that was a really, really nice fight, and that could just be what they needed to get themselves that little bit extra edge in this game. Ibby was able to get that inhib tower in the mid lane. That inhib did, however, stay up, which I think is a good decision from the side of MacGregor, but we're starting to see a little bit of life back in the side of St. Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I still consider that fight a win for St. Paul. They, yes, gave up a mid tower, but they came out with a kill advantage. They saved that bot tower. They've still got something going for them. They just need to be careful because CY hurts. MESSI and Snow, once again, going to try to go in on KingKisuto, who at this stage has actually gotten tanky enough that no longer is getting as punished for some of these sort of egregious positional mishaps that we've seen in the past. Baron might be engaged upon shortly, though, and St. Paul's is going to have to fight this one perfectly. They're very fortunate that that inhibitor was kept alive. Super minions could have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I definitely think that it was an interesting decision not to pop that inhibitor. I think maybe they're thinking that they didn't want to give the side of St. Paul's free super minions, free EXP. But at what point do you decide that it's worth it? Because they have to send someone to deal with them, or the base just gets taken for free.
Looks as if Baron kind of got started there briefly. Ibby took a bit of damage. Yeah. We do have St. Paul's looking to wrap around, looking to sort of try and find a fight, but they can't be too eager. Again, from a pound-for-pound gold advantage right now, you cannot downplay how big it is to have a near 4K gold advantage on CY alone. That is the scary Kai'Sa that you have to deal with. I know a lot of kills and a lot of pressure has been coming from Ibby. Don't get me wrong, Ibby is scary as well. But CY is going to win, essentially, MacGregor these team fights, and CY might be who secures this Baron as well. You do have a couple of members of St. Paul's in the area. They are going to be looking to engage on the big purple war. MESSI is still kind of went a little too late the first time around. This time, he jumps in and steals the Baron away! An opening perhaps for St. Paul's as they look to pile into the pit. Mitten doing a lot of work, but there was no chrono shift to keep it alive. Back behind the pit, however, Ibby is going to do what he can. He goes 1-for-1, making the fight a 4-3 favor, but that much damage from Nia might be turning the fight around. CY forced to go golden as KingKisuto looks to rejoin, but MESSI goes for the pop, takes him out. It's Nia versus CY, and Nia wins! A huge fight for St. Paul's. They steal the Baron, they survive the fight, and they are still in this game.
Beautiful steal from MESSI and Snow there, and NiaML just going to get as much lifesteal as they can in this mid lane, and they can turn their eyes to that dragon up in 5 seconds. So not only did they steal the Baron, they deny the Cloud Soul here, because NiaML can easily take down this Cloud Drake.
Yeah, they are going to be looking to try and burn it down as fast as possible. Not only do they get Baron, but they deny the soul as well. St. Paul's team fight. Again, this is the second game in a row where we've seen their late game team fight put all the eggs on the Nia basket, and somehow this player just comes through. It's why this series is so tightly contested. It's why I want to see a best of 5 between these two, Warp. Like, I'm not going to lie, if this turns into our final in Queensland, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, this has definitely been a much cleaner game from both of these teams, and a really exciting one, like you said right there. Neither of these teams are ready to just throw in the towel. They are fighting till the last breath, and that steal has definitely put some breath back in the side of St. Paul's.
As we do have a bit of a mid-siege being established right now. Nia and Rubik there to try to keep it alive, but Ibby really wants to find this ADC. You don't have a chrono shift available till the last moment, but what is it really going to do surrounded by 4 members? That could be the shutdown that ends the game just when St. Paul's was fighting back. They now have to defend with only 3 members.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, we mentioned this in the early game and the pre-game. The side of MacGregor so good.
So does the Blade.
And
that actually gets a flash out of Eben. Okay, Eben was really desperate trying to end the game there. May have stepped a little too far forward. A couple question mark pings go down. I'm not sure. That could have been a fat finger flash. Either way, for the time being, St. Paul stays alive.
Yeah, they do stay alive. They are just going to delete this tower, remove it off the face of the map. Fair enough. So yeah, unfortunately for St. Paul, those 2 kills, very, very scary, as these were pretty much free pickups. As we said, the side of MacGregor so good at roaming for those kills. Yeah,
I mean, if Ibby wants you dead, 9 times out of 10, it looks like he's going to find you. That's been a reoccurring theme, I feel like, in this game.
Yeah, well, if Ibby wants you dead, your teammate's dead, because they're going to have to pop the chrono break on the chrono shift on you, and at that point, they're dead. So it's such a scary position to be in. That Prowler's Claw, like we said, putting in work for MacGregor, as we see another same pickup. We saw it in the mid game. The first sort of turnaround for them was that beautiful Prowler's Claw into the Kai'Sa ultimate, and we see it again. Deja vu works for them.
Well, you can see at the moment CY on their own in the top lane, and it doesn't look like St. Paul's knows how to react. Like, they're question mark pinging the top. They're thinking, oh, do we look for a fight? Do we look for a pick? But there's no one else available, and the end result actually is CY just getting a top lane to push in their advantage, saving that top tower as well. These are those little macro mistakes that we've been catching from St. Paul's again and again, I feel like, that have been giving MacGregor the earnest in a lot of these fights. They're good at recognizing what their opponents are doing, but sometimes it feels like they just don't know how to respond.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It looks like they recognize the problem, they know what they need to do it, but they just can't quickly enough put that into action. And it has cost them a couple times, and we've seen, you know, that the advantages that they have had have sort of been pushed to the side a little bit because of slow decision making.
The question then will be, can they find another fight like that Baron play? Can they get themselves a more proactive decision-making situation where they come out with the advantages themselves? The gold lead is large, but it's not game-breaking yet. I mean, trust me, we're at the stage right now where the gold lead doesn't matter as much as how well you execute in that team fight. Granted, there are some key items we do need to be mindful of when we go into this next affair. The big one, of course, I think being those 3 tank items and being the pick on the HuntingU as well. MESSI Snow tries to find the re-engage, will be able to get it, and HuntingU will be able to walk the safe thing against Vasol. Actually missed with the Ryze Shockwave, will contact, and it forces a defensive flash from the mid laner. Mitten leading the charge, actually looks to find the flash engage. MESSI so does find the Ryze, but look at the damage being thrown from CY on that back line. There's no way for St. Paul's to press forward, and although Mitten might have that chrono shift, it's not going to matter much. A double kill already for CY as the killer instinct looks to go to that back line. Will chase down HuntingU, gives himself the triple as the rest of MacGregor takes care of business in the front. That's going to be game, set, match. MacGregor advances to 4-0.
Beautiful, beautiful fight there from MacGregor. Again, Ibby with that Prowler's Claw just ruining the day of NiaML. And the second that Vayne fell, that was the game. That's the Nexus falling in tandem. Beautiful, beautiful fight from the side of MacGregor. But credit where credit's due. St. Paul's put on an absolute show as well this game.
That they did. I mean, that Baron steal from MESSI and Snow, you started to believe maybe, just maybe, they were going to be able to bring one back. That team fight kind of showing what St. Paul's is all about. However, it was not meant to be, not enough to get them over that hill. And MacGregor continues to be, I believe, the premier team in this Queensland League of Legends Championship Series. Granted, there are still many weeks ago. We're only just passing that halfway point now, Warp. And from here, realistically, anything can still happen.
Yeah, anything can still happen, especially when you consider, if we're just looking at the Twitch chat for a second, the bets that went through before were so heavily favored in MacGregor, which, fair enough, they did win. But St. Paul's put on a much better performance than I think a lot of people were expecting. And I think that is definitely a good thing to see. Like you said, this could just be the grand final premiere.
I think there's a good chance it might be, and what an exciting series it would be if we get to see these two teams compete in a best-of-3 or a best-of-5. Either way, though, we've still got 4 more weeks of best-of-1s ahead because we are only halfway through the Swiss stage of this event. Congratulations to MacGregor for their win. A big thank you for all the schools who are coming to participate. Those were the standings before coming into today. I imagine, they are going to be changing by the time we hit next week. MacGregor's still atop. I'm curious if Toowoomba was able to win as well. That will be our next matchup. I feel next week we're probably going to see MacGregor versus Toowoomba in the battle for the true King of the Mountain, at least through the regular season. I look forward to seeing you all there as well. Granted, we are going to be having a bit of a holiday break. So, mid-season, we get to kick back, relax. Something about Easter. I guess that's a big deal to some people happening next weekend.
Yeah, Easter is one of those holidays that, we'll take it if we can get it. Good fun times.
That said, fingers crossed people do what they're supposed to, and we get through this little bit of a lockdown, so when Easter does come around, we are able to spend it with friends and families. On that note, please stay safe, everybody, especially here in Queensland, especially here in Brisbane. We know what's going on. It's important to mask up, social distance, all of that good stuff. We've gone through this before. We'll get through it again. And in a couple weeks' time, guess what? There'll be more High School League of Legends. I have been Formal. Joining me has been Warp Driver. And until next time, have a great day, everybody.